Back at it again, and we've got one here with Joe Rogan, who said something very, very interesting recently that I want to discuss with you guys. I haven't seen this whole clip, so I don't know exactly what else he says in this, but there's one thing that he says in this that I find really, really interesting. So like, share, comment, hit that subscribe button if you are new, and let's dive in.
The fact that he's running again is so wild when you watch him talk. The fact that there's no leadership that can find a solution to this, because there really is no solution. I mean, we've bantered about it, you and I, and a lot of other people have as well. Like, what are they going to do? Like, what is the other than Biden dying, like, very soon, and then someone stepping up in a big way that makes sense.
Which is not beyond the realm of possibility. He's older than the average life expectancy, I believe, already. Not saying he will die, but that is possible. I'm sure there are a lot of people like in the Democratic establishment who have been like, I could just imagine there's a boardroom with like very powerful people meeting who they're like, okay, we're getting him out. What's the plan? Like, how do we do this? And I think they just cannot come up with one.
I can't come up with one. Well, I mean, I'm not a political strategist, but, you know, I know the landscape. I know who's out there.
He's perhaps brilliantly insulated himself by making Kamala Harris his vice president.
It's not a bad move.
Because they're like, well, we can't have her.
It's like with Dan Quayle with Bush.
What do you want?
Yeah, you think Bush is dumb? Look at this fucking guy. Yeah, it's amazing. It's a good move. I mean, it's kind of a move, though. You know what it's kind of like? It's kind of like those headliner comics who bring terrible openers.
Yeah, that's what it is.
You know? It's
like, yeah, you really want to do an hour after Kamala Harris? Like, all right. It's the crowds.
So, yeah, obviously, he made a very interesting statement there. He said the only way for the left to get out of this is if Biden is pine boxed. Now, I'm not advocating for that, okay? YouTube. I'm not saying that I want the man to, be pine boxed or anything. But like he said, he is past the average life expectancy age. So who knows? You know, and I find it to be a truthful statement. Their only way out is that. That's it. Otherwise, they lose. So, you know, these next, or this next year and a half is going to be very, very interesting, because if you guys remember, there were a lot of Democrats who weren't fully endorsing Joe not very long ago, like just last year. Famously, Michelle Obama, when she was asked the question, like paused for like a whole 15 seconds. I don't remember exactly how long it was. It felt like 15 seconds, but it was definitely a pregnant pause. Just stopped. And I just find stuff like that really, really interesting because I think even the left knows they aren't going to win. They know they can't hide Joe anymore. And in my humble opinion, you see it in their tactics because, as I told you guys in a previous video, the DNC has now said that they aren't going to host any primary debates. Well, why would they do such a thing? Because Joe's going to get exposed. Joe will be exposed. And even more American people will open their eyes to how terrible he is. Even more people than already have opened their eyes. Now, they're going to do their best to hide this man. I guarantee you, come actual election debates, there aren't going to be, too many sightings of Joe a whole lot. I think he's going to take the basement strategy again and only come out for one or two debates against Uncle Trump. And other than that, he's going to disappear. But what do y'all think?
Dead, but all right.
Time is like time. It just passes, and time is something that we're all aware of.
But I got to say, I don't understand it, Joe, because sometimes you'll see it and you're like, all right, you're doing a thing here. Like, this isn't real. You're like, is this a strategy of some sort to just say nothing and like sound as dumb as possible? Because you can't be this dumb.
I think it's panic.
Maybe.
I think it's anxiety, and I think it's panic, and I think no one can understand, even you and I who perform live in front of strangers all the time. We would never be able to understand the kind of pressure that must be on a person who's deeply unqualified for the job, and then all of a sudden finds herself in there through, he went out of his way to say that he was going to have a black woman. Like, it was a thing that he wanted to do. It was like they had these diversity and inclusivity checkpoints that they had to reach.
Which is also just a really shitty thing to do to her. It's like a really profoundly selfish thing if you think about it. Because if you wanted, say, you wanted to make Kamala Harris your vice president because, you want a woman of color in there or whatever. The thing to do would be to say, I'm going to find the absolute best, most qualified person and then pick her. But if you do that, like, that would be more generous toward her, because then it makes it look at least like she was the best person for the job.
Right.
Whereas if you say, I'm going to make sure I pick a black woman, now you get all the brownie points for like, oh, how woke you are. But now you kind of undermine her as like, well, she's the best black woman I could find. That's not necessarily the best candidate. Or, so it's a shitty move.
Think it's a good thing. I've talked to a lot of intelligent people that think it's important for representation. And I'm like, I could see how you would say that in a...
No, I don't see it. The best man wins. It's that simple. Literally that simple. The best man wins.
Lot of jobs, but this is probably the most important one that anyone could ever have ever.
So, see,
it's got to be a meritocracy.
Well, what's weird about it is it's almost as if there's some weird prejudice built into that idea. Because if you don't believe in like superiority or inferiority of different races or different groups
or genders,
different genders, then you would just go, well, make it a meritocracy, and let the absolute best person have the job. And I'm confident in that system that lots of different people will be represented.
Right.
Whereas if you're saying like, well, no, we need to make sure it's like, wouldn't it be more ideal to just have the best person at every job?
Yeah.
And then to have any type of forced diversity?
Right.
Like, why would that not be better? Everyone in society is better off if the best person qualified for jobs gets those jobs.
Yes.
You want the best scientists and the best doctors and the best pilots and you want everyone to be the best.
Yeah.
No one ever
I wouldn't ever want an affirmative hire doctor or an affirmative hire lawyer. You know what I mean? Like, I want the best of the best. I don't want somebody that's just put in that position simply because of the color of their skin. I want them in that position because of the knowledge that they possess. That and that alone. It should be that simple. Do you have it or not? I don't care about the skin color. You could be purple for all I care. As long as you're going to get the job done, I don't care. I don't care if you're a man or a woman either. Get the job done. That's all I care about. Hey, if a woman gets the job done better, you're hired. If a man gets the job done better, you're hired. Like, it could literally be very, very simple. But, the left feels the need to really complicate things and muddy the waters. And it's absolutely ridiculous.
No one ever wants, like, your surgeon to be picked based on anything other than the best at performing this surgery.
Yes. Yeah. You don't ever say, I want a white man doing surgery on me. No, you think, who the fuck is that Chinese lady the best? Bring her in.
Like, do more people survive when she does
Jesus
it?
Christ.
I'd like her.
Who's the expert? Fix my brain. Yeah. It's interesting because it's like it's very similar in some ways to affirmative action. Right, and affirmative action, in my opinion, is you're addressing a problem without addressing the root of the problem. The root of the problem is, why are so many people of color disenfranchised? Why are so many people who grow up in neighborhoods where there's
I like the way he said that. You're addressing the problem without addressing the root of the problem. I love that. I love that. Oh yeah, there aren't enough black kids at this college, so we're gonna use affirmative action to get some more black students in this college. Well, why aren't there more black students already in the college? Why do you now have to basically force black students into the college? Why? What is causing that? What's causing it? Where's the start point of this problem? It's not, the start point isn't the college application. It's not there. So why are we starting there in order to try to solve the problem? Just saying. I'm just saying.
And crime and violence, and why haven't they fixed those fucking neighborhoods? They're dumping so much money into all these problems overseas. We have systemic problems in America that never get addressed. Until those, and this is like generations it takes to fix these problems.
It's I equate it to, it's like having a leaky faucet, right? You got a leaky faucet, it's filling up your sink, and you drain the sink, but don't fix the leaky faucet. It's just going to fill back up again. So if you just would have fixed the leaky faucet, the problem would have been solved, but all you did was drain the sink. Okay, great job. The sink's empty now, but the faucet is still leaking water into the same sink that you just drained, or into a bucket, whatever, same thing. Either way, you didn't fix the root of the problem, so the problem's going to pop back up again. You just put a Band-Aid on a gaping wound. It's not going to work.
It's like a long-term strategy. But I've always said this. If you want to make America the best, what would be the best way to do that? Well, you want less losers, right? So what's the best way to have fewer losers? To give more people opportunities. So who are the people that have the least opportunities? The people that are in the most fucked places. You could fix that. There's ways you could dump tons of money and resources into inner cities, into these problem areas, with law enforcement, with community centers, places where people could go, where they have like things to do, and people can train.
Nope.
Them in whether it's athletics or different jobs and and show them and mentor them. That's all. That's not like prohibitively impossible.
No, I disagree with you on that part. And I'll tell you guys why. It all starts in the home. That's where it starts. Simple and plain. You fix the fatherless home issue, and you fix a lot of the stuff that's going on. You fix the fatherless home, and you don't need necessarily, after school activities with potential mentors. Like, that's great to have a mentor. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but you still didn't fix the root. You got closer, but you still didn't fix the root. And like I said, and we checked out several videos. Larry Elder, one of the gentlemen that has talked about that in the past that we've checked out. Fix the fatherless home issue. Fix that. Get fathers back in the homes. And you could do that, in multiple ways. But that's one of the ways that, or I think the way to truly begin to fix and address a major issue in this country across the board, in my humble opinion. But, y'all let me know how y'all feeling about that in the comment section. All right.
You're not saying like they all deserve their own nuclear power plant. You're
right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like what you're saying is totally doable. And that's the way to fix all these problems of disparity, because people that grow up in wealthy communities where everyone is sort of trying to achieve things, there's a vibe of those places, and so many of those people from those places wind up succeeding.
Yeah, I think it.
Yeah, but then if you also look at, like I said, having a dad at home gives the kids some, in my humble opinion, this is just my opinion, I feel like having a dad at home gives a kid more confidence. I heard somebody say something once I believe it was a guy by the name of Nipsey Hussle. He said, everybody has, and I'm gonna have to paraphrase here, but he said everybody has, an idea, of what they want to do and how they want to go about things, right? But when they go outside, right, when they leave the walls of their home, when they leave the four walls of their home, they get influenced. And that's when things really begin to change. Because kids are easily peer pressured. I mean, you see it all the time. Some of us went through it. So we know about peer pressure. Like it's a real thing, especially with kids. Kids don't understand all of that yet. But when you have the dad at home that can easily correct something, that could instill some strong leadership values or characteristics. Not everybody can be a leadership, but you can have some of those characteristics in the kids. But then also, if there is a problem that arises, it can be nipped in the bud immediately. Not saying that mothers can't do that, but it's been statistically proven that most of the time, or a lot of the times, it just doesn't work out. Statistics have shown that most people that are in prison came from fatherless homes. A lot of these issues in our society, you can trace them back to not having a dad at home. And this is not an indictment on mothers. Okay. I want to make that clear. Mothers have a very special place in the family dynamic and just on this earth in general. Obviously, we all know that. So I want to make that very, very clear. This is not downing women or mothers of any sort. I don't want anybody to take that out of what I'm saying because, you know how the internet likes to twist things. Oh my goodness. She said that mothers are useless. No. And I want to make that clear. It's a hell no. Okay? Mothers are very, very important. Okay? I want to make that clear. So there's no confusion. Put that on Front Street.
It's a lot of it, I think, also is that there's a very kind of like shallow narrative about what it is that keeps people in these areas down. Mm-hmm. And so it's kind of like,
crabs in a barrel.
It's just it's racism or it's systemic racism, just these kind of terms that aren't specific. It's like, wait, what is actually happening here?
Right.
And so much of the problem is that like the kind of culture and family units have just been destroyed.
Yeah, destroyed. I literally said the same thing. And I can guarantee you I did not watch this whole video. I said some of the same stuff that they said. I disagreed on one point that, Joe Rogan made, which was the mentor things being more important than, having the fathers at home. But for the most part, I agreed and said the same things. 100%. I mean, even if you want to take it a step further, I mean, we could talk about the crabs in a barrel mentality because he talked about, some of the stuff that's going on in some of these areas. It's crabs in a barrel. I heard a story about a fisherman, a guy going fishing with one of his friends. I forgot where I saw this or who I heard it from. But the story kind of went like, it was a short story, but it went something like, there were two guys that were fishing and the guy had some crabs in a bucket. And one of the crabs was getting really, courageous and starting to climb out. And the friend saw this and he shouted to, his other friend that was currently fishing. And without even turning around, the guy that was fishing said, "Wait and see what happens next." And he already knew, what am I saying? He already knew what was about to happen. And lo and behold, the crab that was trying to climb out got grabbed by another crab and pulled back into the bucket. And I feel like it's that same type of mentality that you see in some of these lower income areas. It's that same type of mentality. And there's something that I, used to say all the time that I feel like reigns true. And it's, they always want to see you doing well, just never better than them. And I feel like that's a fact. And I've personally seen it myself. People always want to see you doing well, as long as you aren't doing better than them or what's perceived to be better than them. You can be doing well. Just make sure you don't pass them. The moment you pass them, then they become jealous. Then they become that crab that pulled the other crab back down into the bucket. Instead of watching that crab climb out, shouting up top, letting that crab turn back around. I've never personally seen a crab do that, but I'm just saying in terms of people, I've never understood that mentality. If I see somebody that is successful or a group of people that are successful, I'm going to go ask them questions. I want to pick their brains so I can get into the same position. I'm not going to sit here and be jealous of them. That does nothing for me. That does nothing for me. That doesn't put food on the table, a roof over my head, clothes on my back. It does nothing for me. So I want to get some value out of this situation. So I'm going to go ask this person, how'd you get to this position? What do you do? What's your day-to-day life look like? What time do you wake up? What time do you go to sleep? What is your biggest mistake? I'm going to ask these types of questions so I can figure things out. But you don't have that type of mentality in a lot of these places. You have the opposite mentality. Oh, I'm going to pine box that person because I'm jealous of him. What good does that do for you? It makes no sense. And once again, it all boils back down to the father in the home. Well, where was his dad or her dad? Who allowed this person to grow up with that type of mentality? I'm just saying. But as always, y'all let me know what you thought about this one in the comment section below. Like, share, comment. Hit that subscribe button before you go. Peace and love. I'm out.